phone had such high hopes, and then a math teacher bought it. Oh. Every day it's got to seem that. Where was it? Okay. So I don't know the y-intercept, so I don't know what b is. So what the hell? Let me see if you guys understand what I'm about to do. There is an equation of this line. Is that true? There has to be. Right? There's a line that's parallel, that's perpendicular to this, and it goes through that. There is one. There has to be one. There's a line that with any slope I want going through any point I want. There's a line. Are you with me? So there must be an answer to this. What do I know already? What's the only thing I know about my line? I don't know the y-intercept. That's the whole problem. Okay, sure. I know it goes through this point. I like it. And I know the slope is 1/3. So can I use both of those to figure out what b is? So the slope is 1/3. And when x is -1, y has to be 0. So I'm using all the information I've got. I know the slope is 1/3. I know that when I plug a -1 in for x, I better get a 0 up for y. Now I can figure out what b makes that happen.
I thought y is equal to b, so I plugged in 0 instead of b.
Y is equal to b.
Yes.
B is the y-intercept. This is the what? X freaking intercept. Do you understand? B is equal to what y is at the y-intercept. Do we know the y-intercept for this problem?
No.
No, we don't. They gave me the x-intercept. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't just let y equal 0, because is that what the y is at the y-intercept? No, that's the x-intercept.
There's a couple of exercises in the book.
But I'm showing you what to do. I'm showing you what to do.
They plug in 0 instead of b, I don't know why.
Because they gave you, because it goes through 0, 0 then.
Yes.
Then it would be 0, yes. That's the y. Why is that the y-intercept? Because x is 0. How do I know I'm at the y-intercept? Because x is 0. Am I at the y-intercept?
No.
X is not 0. So it can't be at the y-intercept. You understand? So they go together. How do you find the y-intercept? You make x 0. How do you know you're at the y-intercept? If x is
0.
Yes, they go together. They have to. Math goes both ways. Right? Full judge. Alright, sorry. That's just a joke for me. So how do I get b?
Divide by 2.
No.
Multiply by...
No. It's not multiplication, is it? How do I get rid of the -1/3? I just
You add it.
add 1/3. Yeah. So I get b is 1/3. So what's my equation? Y equals m. No fudge. What's m?
-1/3.
No.
1/3.
M is 1/3. What's b?
1/3.
1/3. Bang.
I hate that.
Let's do another. Because I don't like that statement, I hate math. That's bullshit. Alright. Do you guys understand that if there's a line, it will follow that, right? You guys are with me? Alright. If I have a line that goes through a y-intercept of 0b, are you with me so far? If I pick one point or another point, does that somehow magically change what that is? It can't. How many points are there on this thing? Infinite number. Don't say millions. There's million times that to the millionth power to the millionth power to the millionth power. Holy shit, there's an infinite number. So if I pick that point or that point, am I going to change what that is? So b, for any line, b is something. It never changes. Alright. So if I knew that the slope of some line was 4, and I knew that it went through the point 2, 5, how could I figure out what b is? Well, I know it's got to follow this rule if it's a line, right? And what do I know? I know m is 4. What else do I know?
X.
When x is 2,
And y 5.
y must be 5. So then I can figure out what b is. If I use everything I know, b has to be something. If I know this and I know what the slope is, I should be able to work back to see what b is. B has to be the number that makes this work. Why? Because the freaking line goes through 2, 5. So it has to be to work in the equation, so I can solve for what B is. So in this case, what would B be? What would B be?
Minus 5. Minus 3.
Negative 3. Good. So what's the equation of the line?
Y equals.
What's M? 4. 4x
4
minus 3. Bam. By the way, that's just a general picture, right? Don't be freaking out. That's not that. No, it's just a general picture. So I knew that it went through the point 2, 5. And I knew that the slope was 4. So doing the math helps me kind of like work backwards to see. Now watch. Do it visually. This is kind of neat. I recommend you do this. In fact, don't do this. But this is neat to see this graphically. If the slope is 4, how can it go back and over? If the slope is 4, that would mean up and over, right? Yes, sir.
How come we're not using the y-intercept in the place of...
I don't know the y-intercept. From what I told you, what's the y?
How come we're allowed to do that?
What do you mean?
How come we're allowed to use 2 and 5?
Because what's 2 represent?
X.
X. And what's 5 represent?
Y.
And what's my equation? So can't I plug in what X is and what Y is? I don't understand. When should this equation work? For only certain points on the line? When should this equation work? For every damn point on the line. So will this equation work for this point?
Yes.
Yes, it has to, because that's a point on the line. So if I plug in the slope and I plug in a point, it'll work. So go with me. We've done this problem before. If I'm at the point 2, 5, stay with me now. So you guys are, gosh, stay with me. This all comes together. It has to. Can't I look at it like this instead? We've talked about that before. Because I want to go down. I want to figure out what the y-intercept is. So I got to get back over that way. Are you with me? So if I go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, am I on the y-axis yet?
No.
No. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Now I am. Where am I? What point is that?
0.
Holy shit. I mean, algebraically, this does what this did visually. But I need you to be able to do it algebraically, not just everything visually. Because sometimes the visual will be disgusting. What if B came out to be 12 over 49? No, I'm not going to... 12 over 49? No, you're not going to get that from that. So we have to be able to do the algebra, because algebra can be more precise than visual ever can be. Now watch this. What point is this?
1,
1, 1. Now, I really wish... This problem is done. You with me? This problem is done. Right there. And does 1, 1 work?
Yeah.
Yes, and it better work, because it's the point on the line, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I did all what we did down here... You guys got this written down if you wanted it? Alright, you better. If I did this all again, but instead I used the point 1, 1... B better come out to be the same thing. Why? Because it's still the same damn line. It should not matter what point I use. So if I do this all again, when X is 1, Y has got to be 1. What do I get now for B? I get negative freaking 3. Of course I do. Because it's got to work no matter what point I use. Okay, baby. Today we'll actually learn an alternate way to do this without doing this weird solve for B thing. If you don't like it, I've got another way for you to do it. So if they give me the y-intercept, why does that kick ass? Because I could just throw the number in for B, and I'm done. If they don't give me the y-intercept, why does that not kick ass? Because I got more work to do. I got to actually figure out what B is. Shit. Of course it's going to be harder. Because the equation requires me to know the y-intercept. And if I don't know it, I should expect it to be a little more work. Okay, baby. Alright, so let's do this. Let's immediately, I don't care if you have any more questions. This is a beautiful time to go. Listen to that. That's such a nice, caring teacher. I don't care. If you have any more questions, screw it. No, come on. Hopefully, no, I'm joking. Or my dean's going to be like, Chef, the students told me that You told them to screw themselves. No, no. Let's immediately get into 3-6. Let's develop, you guys are going to love this. Let's develop an alternate form of the equation of a line. And instead of being, because this form works really, really well if I know the slope and the y-intercept. We've already seen that it gets a little freaky if I don't know the y-intercept. Why does that make sense? Because the line, that equation has the y-intercept in it. So I want to make an equation of a line that's got any point in it. Any point in it. Instead of b, it's got x1 and y1 in there. Right? So remind me, what's the equation of a slope? If I have 2 points on a line, x1, y1. I like it. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The subscripts mean they are specific points. So there's a first point and there's a second point. All right, let me let you, that's all old news. Okay. A big part of what I talked about earlier was, should it matter what other point you pick? You with me? Mm-hmm. Should it matter what other points? If I have this point, should it matter what other point I pick? Do I have to pick a specific other point? No, any damn point. So if I do this, I really want you to understand what that means. When I have a subscript on something, that means a specific thing. When I don't have a subscript, that means any value that I want, right? So why is there subscripts normally in this equation? Because it's a given point and another given point, and then I can throw them in. They're specific. This means any other freaking point you want on the line. Let me let you take that. Is the slope going to change because I pick another point?
No.
No.
It can't. It's a straight line. It would only change if it curved and went freaky, right? We're one step away. If I multiply both sides by this, what do I get? This goes away, right? So I get y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Yes, sir?
When would you be doing this again?
When you have a point given to you that's not the y-intercept, and you don't like what I showed you over here. So let's immediately use this. This is the equation. This is it. So let's immediately use it. Let's use it for the problem I had over here. So if I know it goes to the point 2, 5, and I know the slope is 4, right? This one point, so what's this? What's this? X1. And what's this? Y1. That's the one point they gave me. You with me? So now plug and chug. Y minus 5 equals 4 times x minus 2. When x is 2, y is 5. Now can you simplify this? What do we do over here? Y minus 5 equals 4x minus 8. Now you
Plus
add 5 and you get what? Y equals 4x
minus 3.
minus 3. The same damn thing we got there. So you gotta be able to do both ways. But
It's really easy here. But at home,
one of them should make. Don't say that because again, you get jumped. You gotta be careful. Yes.
When are we going to use this when are we going to use this?
Do it again.
When are we going to use this?
Okay.
Or when are we going to...
Officially, you can directly use this equation when you know what two things:
slope
slope
and
and the intercept, the y-intercept, right? And that's why the math geniuses, they decided to call this the slope-intercept form, right? Let's get the slope and the intercept. Let's call it slope-intercept. When can I use this one directly? When I know the slope and a
1
point. Do you see that? So again, the same math geniuses in the same room call us point and slope. So point. This is point slope form. I love it. I wasn't around on that day, but that's how I envisioned it going. Man, come on, I just want to go. Let's call it point slope. Okay, let's go. Nathan.
Can we try another problem now?
Yes, we can.
Can we try the one I was having a problem with?
Maybe. Which, oh, the one from 3.6?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Which one?
46.
46, I got you. Alright. I like it. So just real quick, just to summarize. You can use this even if you don't know the y-intercept. I showed you how to do it. But to use it directly, easiest, I must know the slope and the y-intercept. I've got this equation of the line that I can use. They're both, believe it or not, the same thing. They just look different. But this one allows me to know the slope and a point. Any point. It doesn't have to be the y-intercept, but if it is the y-intercept, it would still work. It has to, because it works for any point. So, for the one you're talking about, you ready? They want to know find the equation of the line that, alright, what two things do I need before I even write what it does? Slope and a point. And if it's the y-intercept, that kicks so much ass, because then I don't have to use this equation. I can just use the other one and I know what b is, right? So in general, to find the equation of a line, I need to figure out the slope, and I need to figure out or have been given a point. So if they give me 2 points, yay, I can pick which one I want to use, right? So find the equation of a line that goes through
8.3
8.3,
and negative 7.3.
negative 7.3. Sweet, okay. Now this one's, of course they have to plan it. So, do I have a point? Do I have a point?
Yes.
Yes, I got 2 of them. Which one do you want to use? Which one do you want to use?
Anyone.
8.3. I like it. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. The math will work out because they both sit on the same line. It does not matter mathematically which one you plug in. How do I get the slope? Yeah, exactly. You look at the situation. If they would have told me it's parallel to this other line, I would have found that line slope, and my slope would be the same. If they tell me it goes through 2 points, I use y2 minus y1. So I just have to say, how do I get the slope from what they told me? They gave me 2 points, so now how do I get the slope? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this might be where you had trouble. I don't know.
Yeah.
0
negative 1.
over
0 over, well, negative 15. But
0, 15.
0, right?
Yeah. Y equals 0x.
Well, now, you don't know b. You don't know b. So now, I used to always call this SDT level. You do the same damn thing. Once you know the slope, and you know the point, you freaking plug them in. So what's the equation? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus what? What point did we pick?
3.
Yeah, so the y piece is 3 equals m. What's m?
0.
0 times x minus
8.
8, the x piece of the point. What's 0 times x minus 8?
0.
0. If you solve for y, what do you get?
Plus 1.
Solve for y, you get y equals 3. And why does it make sense? Look back at the points. What's true about both points?
Same thing.
Y is 3. So actually you could have known that from the beginning. Nah. This was a little weird because the slope comes out to be 0 because the points are directly across from each other, aren't they? Negative 8.3, 7.3. So this line is horizontal. Yeah. Let's do another one. And another one. And another one. Oh, you guys got that? So y equals 3. Which makes sense when you look back at the points. That is the definition. That's the relationship. Y is 3. Cool. All right. And real quick, while I'm talking about it, why does x not show up in this equation? Well, if x changes, does y give a shit? No. So x won't show up in the equation because y doesn't care what x does. That's why there's no x in the equation, because y just already knows it's got to be 3. What's x got to be? Anything it wants to be. What if it's 12? I'm 3. What the hell? I'm always freaking 3. Alright, maybe. Okay, just trying to find equation of line that is perpendicular to and goes through 1, -2. Sure. I like it.
So in this case, we have only 1 point.
Yeah, which is fine. We just need 1 point. If they give me 8 points, I just pick one. You with me? So if they give me more than 1 point, it's no problem. I've got to have at least 1 point. Right? Or a way to find a
And we
point.
can use both
So what 2 things do I need?
Slope.
Slope and a point. Alright, I'll do this half. Check. Alright, I'm done with mine. Alright, it have to freaking work. What do you want? How do you get the slope?
You got
y equal n.
Well, okay, but what? Keep going. What do I know about that my line that gets me my slope? What do I know about my line that will get me my slope?
plug in,
Plug in X and Y.
and then you have to.
No. What piece of information relates to the slope?
Solve for y first.
It's perpendicular to this. So what do I have to know about this guy's line? This line,
We have to solve for y first.
in order to figure out what? The slope. If I knew that line's slope, my slope will be the negative reciprocal, the total opposite. Kick ass. Are you with me? So that's what you got to think. You know you need these 2 things, and you just say to yourself, "How do I get this from what they told me?" You got to actually sit there and think. Oh shit, Jeff, that hurts, man. Especially at this time of day. I understand. You home later. So how do I figure out this guy's slope?
Rearrange the problem.
Take away 4y.
All right. Subtract 4x. I'm going to force it in there. Is that cool? So it looks more like mx plus b. So subtract 4x, and force it there. And then divide by -2. So you get y equals positive 2x. And who gives a shit? This doesn't matter. I really want you to understand. I don't care what that. I can make. Sometimes I just make it ugly on purpose because the only thing I need from this line is its slope. That's the only thing I care about. What is that line slope?
2.
This line slope is 2. So what's my slope?
1.
Negative?
Half.
1/2. Totally change it. Change the sign and flip it. Now, do I have my 2 things? Yes. So who gives a shit where it came from? Same damn thing. You do the same damn thing. What do? You plug it in. Do I know what b is? No. So screw that equation. Let me throw it in here because I know what x1 and y1 are, don't I? I have a point and I have the slope. I can use point slope form, right? Yes, sir.
We can't use the formula, y equal
mx plus b? Totally. That's fine. But you do need to be able to use this if I force you to.
So
Yes.
when are we going to use it?
This is a good situation because I don't know what b is. And instead of figuring out what b is, I can just plug in what the point is. So what gets put where? What is this? This is 1 point. So this is x1 and y1. And this is m. I just put a little perpendicular sign because of the purpose. This is m here, right?
Yeah. Y and X.
Y minus -2 equals
Minus
negative 1/2 times x minus
1.
1. All right, let me stop there for a second. This is plug and shut. Why don't I put something in place of x and y? Because x and y are an infinite number of things. I'm not going to put anything in their place. I want to leave them as x and y, so I get an equation at the end. This is x1, y1. That's the 1 point they gave me, or the 1 point I chose if they gave me several. So now you just got to clean this up a little bit. Y plus 2 equals good, plus 1/2, and then subtract 2. Y equals negative 1/2 x. And what's 1/2 minus 2? Oh shit.
Negative 1%.
Yeah, because negative 2 is negative 4 over 2. 1/2 minus 4/2,
Oh,
negative 3/2. How do you check that? Sorry. You guys are like, dude, the hell. I don't even know how to get there.
Like why?
You just plug, it's got to go through this point in. Plug that point in, make sure it works. Right? When you plug a 1 in, what's negative 1/2 times 1 is negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 minus 3/2 is negative 4/2, which is negative 2. So it works. When you plug a 1 in, you get a negative 2 out. So you can check your answer by plugging in a point or both points if they give you 2 points.
I'm sorry, I got lost in the negative 4/2.
Oh,
Yeah.
so here, what did I do? I subtracted 2 from both sides, right?
Right.
But 2 is 4/2. So LCD, so I can actually combine those, right? 1/2 minus 2, I got to make an LCD so I can combine them. See, fractions don't live in a section in the book. Fractions live everywhere. Right? And you can't call an exterminator for the fraction problem. I like that. It's for me. I like that one. Little fractions everywhere. Can't die. Oh, there's another one. Shit. It's too bad for you. Survive a nuclear holocaust. Yes, I did sort of compare fractions to cockroaches, but I'll get over it.
Oh, minus.
Okay. Let me ask you this kind of backwards here.
so the slope never changes
On any given straight line, the slope cannot change. Because if the slope did suddenly change somewhere, what would happen to the line?
Then you get a perpendicular line.
Well, I can have a line that is perpendicular to another line.
Yeah, and then it has to be.
So my slope has to be the negative reciprocal of that other line's slope.
Yeah.
So that slope was 2, so my slope had to be negative 1/2. But my slope can never be different from negative 1/2 now for this problem.
But it can never be. Never mind.
If I said parallel, then my slope would have been the same as this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's perpendicular.
But because it's perpendicular, my slope has to be the negative reciprocal of that. Yeah. So let me ask you this. If I give you this equation, let's see if you guys can get this. What's the slope of that line?
2.
And what's the point that that line goes through?
3 minus 5. No.
No.
Negative 5.
So it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Look here.
Oh.
What was y1? It was negative.
So,
And look what happened here. It became plus because when they're negative. So what's y1? y1 must be 5.
5.
Y minus 5. So y is 5. What's x though? X minus...
So negative 3.
It's the opposite sign of what you see. Because what's the equation have in it? Minus sign. So if you actually put a negative number in, that's when it becomes plus. So it's really just the opposite. So what's the what makes this 0? That's the quickest way to think of it. What makes that 0? It's negative 3. Do you see what I'm saying? What makes that 0? Positive 5. Right? And why does it work that way? Because there's minuses in the equation. So if y1 is 5, won't this end up saying y minus 5? So that's 5, and this must be negative 3.
Negative.
Right, so that's just the reverse. Right? If I give you an equation in that form, you should be able to tell me what the slope and the point is. Oh shit, let's do another. Y plus 11 equals 4/7 x minus... what's the slope? 4/7. Take a second, don't say anything out loud. Write what the point is. Don't say anything out loud. Write what the point is. Or don't. I can't even force you to be here, so I can't force you to do anything. You can just draw a little picture. And I'll go, oh, they're working on the problem. Yes, sir. You pick one. Just pick one. You can't plug them both in. Because there's only one place for a point, x1, y1. That's where the 1 point is. The 1 point you're given or the 1 point you pick. The other ones have to be x and y, so you actually end up with an equation. Otherwise, you just end up with 7 equals 7 or something. That's not an equation. So if they give you 2 points, you pick one. What's the point then? 2, negative 11. Yes. Because what did I subtract here? 2. What did I subtract here? Negative 11 minus negative 11. So it's the opposite sign of what you see.
What is the 4 over 7?
Slope is 4 over 7. Right? What's the equation? Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay. I'm not sure how to take that. Well, at least you didn't say, oh, this is going to be fun. Point of math is not to be fun. Not at first, anyway. You have a lot of fun with this stuff once you learn enough of it. Let me see. All right. Let me try.